You were lied to about passive income. Not because passive income is fake, that would actually be simpler. You were lied to because passive income is real enough to be seductive, but usually explained in a way that makes people stupid. The fantasy goes like this: build something once, automate a few things, maybe buy a course from a smiling man near a rented Lamborghini, and then money starts arriving while you sleep. No more trading time for money, no more dependence, no more exhaustion, just freedom, cash flow, and the occasional laptop on a beach photo to prove that civilization has finally solved work. That's the dream, and I understand why people want it, because the desire underneath passive income is not irrational. People are tired, people feel trapped, people do not merely want more money, they want relief. Relief from dependency, relief from endless labor, relief from the humiliating structure of having to keep selling hours just to remain financially alive. That desire is legitimate, but a legitimate desire can still be attached to a false map. And passive income is one of the most abused false maps in modern wealth culture. So let me give you the shorter, cleaner, adult version right now. Passive income is not money without work. It is income produced by assets, systems, or ownership structures into which work, capital, judgment, and risk have already been built. That's the truth. Less sexy, more useful. And once you understand that, a lot of the internet's wealth advice begins to look less like education and more like emotional anesthesia. Because most passive income content does not actually teach you how wealth works. It sells you a feeling of escape, a feeling of shortcut, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, you can bypass the boring laws of reality and get the reward without the architecture underneath it. But the market does not pay you because you want freedom. It does not care that you're tired. It does not care that your boss is annoying, your schedule is draining, and you would prefer a quiet life with more time, more autonomy, and fewer people asking things from you. The market does not pay for your frustration. It pays for value. That is the first correction. Money follows value, always imperfectly, sometimes unfairly, sometimes with delay, sometimes through very messy systems, but underneath the noise, that is still the rule. If money is arriving, then somewhere in the system, somehow, value is being delivered. A need is being met. A problem is being solved. A product is being used. A tenant is being housed. A business is serving customers. A book is being bought. A piece of software is saving time. A brand is carrying trust. Something of value is awake somewhere in the system, even if you happen to be asleep. That's why I dislike the phrase "make money while you sleep." Not because it's entirely false, but because it trains the mind in the wrong direction. It makes sleep look like the hero, as if the highest form of financial intelligence is to disappear, as if wealth means becoming absent. No, the real goal is not laziness. The real goal is leverage. The wealthy person is not simply someone who does nothing. The wealthy person is someone whose resources are organized in such a way that not every euro or dollar of income requires a fresh unit of personal exhaustion. That is different. That is structure, that's architecture, and this is where most people get confused, because they hear passive income and imagine money arriving out of nowhere. But money does not come out of nowhere, it comes out of systems. Take rental property. People call it passive income, and compared with hourly labor, yes, it can be more passive, but let's be serious. What had to happen first? Capital had to be accumulated, or financing had to be secured. A property had to be chosen intelligently. Location, price, taxes, regulation, demand, tenant quality, maintenance costs, vacancy risk, all of that matters. Then the property has to be managed. Repairs, insurance, problems, contracts, unexpected expenses, the boiler breaking at exactly the moment reality decides to remind you that passive is a flexible word. Now, can you delegate some of that? Of course, but delegation does not eliminate work. It transforms work into cost. That matters. The asset becomes more passive for you because someone else is doing part of the active labor, and you are giving up part of the return in exchange. That's not magic, that's structure. Or take digital products, courses, books, templates, software, paid communities. Again, these can become relatively passive at the transaction level. You are not manually delivering each unit in person every time. Good, but where did that income come from? Came from knowledge, packaging, trust, creation, distribution, maintenance, and reputation. Someone had to learn something useful, then turn that insight into a product, then make it clear enough, valuable enough, and credible enough that other people would pay for it, then attract attention to it, then maintain it, then compete against a growing mountain of low-effort digital sludge produced by people who heard the phrase passive income and immediately decided that humanity needed one more mediocre PDF. So again, the income may become semi-passive, but the system behind it is not passive. The work has been embedded into the asset. That's the phrase I want you to remember. A book is embedded work. Software is embedded work. A brand is embedded trust. A rental property is embedded capital and risk. An index fund is embedded ownership in productive companies. Passive income is not the absence of labor. It is labor, judgment, capital and value converted into a structure that can keep producing beyond the moment of direct effort. That's the honest version. Now, why is the dishonest version so powerful? Because most people are financially exhausted before they are financially educated, and exhaustion makes people hungry for shortcuts. When a person is tired, the mind does not naturally ask, what is the value mechanism here? It asks, how do I get out? That is the vulnerability, and the passive income industry knows it. Notice how the sales pitch is usually framed. Are you tired of the 9 to 5? Do you want to escape the rat race? Do you want to stop trading time for money? Do you want freedom? Again, those questions are not evil. Some of them are perfectly reasonable. But then comes the trick. Instead of teaching you value, ownership, systems, incentives, maintenance, and risk, the pitch jumps immediately to the purchase. Buy this course, join the program, use this tool, copy this model, and now your desire for freedom has become their active income. That is the little comedy at the center of passive income culture. Many passive income gurus make very active income by selling passive income fantasies to financially exhausted people. A bit bleak, yes, but also instructive. So let's replace the false map with a better one. If you want to evaluate any passive income claim, run it through 5 layers. First, value. What need is being met? What problem is being solved? What pain is being reduced? What time is being saved? What capability is being improved? If no real value is being delivered, the income is either fragile, speculative, manipulative, or temporary. Second, ownership. What do you actually own? An asset, equity, intellectual property, a product, a portfolio, a brand, a distribution channel. If nothing remains when you stop working, you probably do not have passive income. Have a job with more decorative language. Third, distribution. How do people find the thing? This is the part people constantly underestimate. A product nobody sees is not a business. It's a file. A book nobody can discover is not an asset, it's private effort. A course with no earned trust behind it is not a passive income engine, it's an expensive folder. Value is not enough. Value must reach people. Fourth, maintenance. Everything decays. Properties decay. Audiences decay. Software decays. Brands decay. Markets change. Platforms change, regulations change. Maintenance is the tax reality imposes on every asset. If you ignore that, what you call passive income becomes passive deterioration. Fifth, risk. What risks are hidden here? Capital risk, market risk, platform risk, legal risk, liquidity risk, concentration risk, execution risk. The fact that something is less tied to your hours does not mean it's safe. That's the 5-layer test: value, ownership, distribution, maintenance, and risk. If someone teaches passive income without teaching those 5 things, they are not giving you a wealth map, they are giving you sedation. And this brings us to the deeper issue. The internet often teaches people to chase leverage before they have value. Automate before you understand. Outsource before you can judge quality. Scale before you have solved a meaningful problem. Build a personal brand before there is a serious person with a disciplined body of thought behind the brand. This is backwards. Leverage does not create value out of nothing. It amplifies what is already there. If there is value, leverage can multiply it. If there's confusion, leverage multiplies confusion. If there's mediocrity, leverage scales mediocrity. If there is no judgment, then automation just allows allows bad decisions to travel faster. This is why beginners waste so much time researching passive income ideas. They compare dropshipping, affiliate marketing, trading, templates, faceless channels, digital products, AI automation, dividend stocks, crypto staking, and whatever the latest fashionable machine is. And some of those can work, but the model is not the magic. The model is just a vehicle. If you have no map, no destination, and no understanding of terrain, choosing a vehicle is not strategy, it's shopping. Often, it's anxious shopping disguised as ambition. So what should you do instead? Do not chase passive income. Build income-producing assets. That sounds less exciting because it removes the fantasy, but it puts you back in contact with reality. Ask better questions. What can I build that solves a recurring problem? What do I know that can be packaged into something useful? What can I own that continues producing value? What skill could become intellectual property? What audience can I earn by being consistently useful? What capital can I allocate intelligently? What system can I improve until it no longer depends on my constant direct presence? Those are adult questions, and they lead somewhere real, because in the value is king framework, wealth is not just money. Money matters, obviously. I am not one of those people pretending money is spiritually irrelevant while quietly enjoying the benefits of having it. Money matters, but money is still a resource. Wealth is broader than money. True wealth is the abundant possession, mastery, and intelligent use of resources to satisfy human needs. And those resources include time, attention, money, knowledge, skills, and people. This is why passive income, properly understood, matters, not because it lets you cosplay as a beach philosopher with a laptop, but because assets and systems can free time, they can reduce dependency, they can give you more command over your life, more room for family, health, study, thought, creation, and meaningful work. That's the noble version. But the noble version only works when passive income remains connected to value. Otherwise, it becomes a fantasy of extraction. How do I get money without giving anything? How do I automate the selling of mediocre stuff? How do I exploit attention? I make my laziness look like strategy. That path may occasionally produce money. It does not produce stable wealth. It produces fragility, often contempt too. Contempt for customers, contempt for craft, contempt for work itself. The better path is different. What can I build that continues to serve? A useful book, a serious course, a good software tool, a trustworthy media brand, a portfolio of productive assets, a business system that genuinely solves something, a product that keeps helping people when I am not personally present in every transaction. That's the noble path. Not anti-income, anti-fantasy, not anti-freedom, anti-delusion, not anti-leverage, anti-leverage without value. So let me close with the simplest version I can give you. Passive income is real, but it's not money without work. It's not freedom without responsibility. It's not wealth without value. It's not a shortcut around competence. It's what happens when work, judgment, capital, and value are successfully built into an asset, a system, or an ownership structure that can continue producing after the original effort. That is less magical than what the gurus tell you. It's also far more powerful, because once you see this clearly, you stop asking the child this question, how do I get paid for doing nothing? And you start asking the adult one, what can I build, own, improve, or organize so that value keeps being created even when I am not personally standing inside every transaction? That's the beginning of financial intelligence. Not the beach, not the laptop, not the coconut, the map. Value first, income second, architecture before freedom, because in the end, the king is not money. The king is value.